All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our hi. um, Welcome to our second Vegan Cooking 101 class. I see some new faces here tonight that we didn't have last night, and a lot of you came back tonight. I'm so happy to have you here, and all of you that came online. Wow, over 100 of you. That's really awesome to have you with us as well. So tonight we're going to start just like last night. We're going to say a little opening prayer and then get on into things. All right. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for bringing us together again tonight. Please bless the food that we're about to make and also bless all of our minds so that we can absorb all the information and learn something new tonight. And please give me the right words to say, and in Jesus' name, amen. Okay. So before we get into the recipe itself, we're actually going to watch just a short little video here. And actually, we're going to learn a little bit about why it seems it's so hard to live without sugar and ice cream and cheese and coffee and all kinds of dairy and meat. Why is it so hard to give those things up or to eat it less? Or why does it seem like, oh, I could eat vegan food except this one thing? So we're just going to learn a little bit about maybe how our minds work and why that might be. So let me pull the video up.
We are talking all things plant-based and how to feel better here in the new year. And one of the things that many people struggle with, especially when they start making any sort of changes to their diet, is they're addicted to the foods that they have been eating. I mean, food addiction is something that isn't really talked about in the same vein as alcohol or drugs or tobacco, but I mean, it's just as powerful.
Yeah, it's real. It was a controversial thing in the world of psychiatry. Can you really be addicted to foods in the same ways you could be addicted to heroin? And some people wanted to say no. And I have to say, the experience of the user, very soon, people say, wait a minute. All the indices of addiction, I've got them. It's something that's cyclical. It's something that I crave when it's not there. It's something I'm preoccupied with. It's something I hide. Mm-hmm. It's something I'm paying a physical price for. So anyway, what really happened was maybe 20 years ago or somewhere thereabouts, psychiatrists started to say, all right, chocolate. We'll give you chocolate. That could be it. but then that got the floodgates to other things. But I got to tell you, Chuck, it is not strawberries. It is not oranges and apples. A person doesn't get up at night and go to the 7-Eleven and get 25 apples and eat them or a bushel of asparagus. It's certain foods that we do tend to go with.
What are some of the more addictive ones? You know, I like to think that Americans can sometimes be a slave to the burger. So what are some of the more addictive foods?
I'm going to give you four. Number one, sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see this in a newborn baby. Yes, you have a little baby born today. And let's say you're in the hospital and you're going to do a little heel stick to draw a drop of blood for a blood test. If you dribble sugar water into the baby's mouth just before you do the heel stick, the baby cries less. Now, I'm not suggesting this as a form of anesthesia, but it's been widely recognized by people in healthcare that sugar is sort of a painkiller. And then pretty soon, grandparents know that if you've got the sugary stuff and the kids come over, they want to visit grandma and grandpa more often. And then when you're an adult, you're not having the same sugary food that maybe a child might have. Or we have the sodas and so forth. Sugar, that's number one. Number two, chocolate really is addicting, but it's not just that it's sugary. There are other compounds in chocolate. There is sugar. There's something called theobromine, which is sort of like caffeine only. It's a slight variant of caffeine. It's a mild stimulant. If you have a dog and the dog says, don't give your dog chocolate, it can kill him, that's the theobromine. That can do it.
Okay.
And there are other compounds in the chocolate. So that's my number two addictive.
Does that go for a straight cacao as well? Because I know that's a popular additive in smoothies.
you got to go beyond just straight chocolate because it's rather bitter. It's just an ingredient, and in fact, interesting history fact, it was not until about 1850 or thereabouts that people actually made chocolate tolerable. The Native American populations had chocolate that Columbus brought back to Europe, a bitter substance that they made beverages out of. Not really racing for stardom here. But what happened in the middle of the 1800s is that people found that if you mix a little more of cocoa butter and you add a sweetener like some chocolate and something to kind of tone it down like vanilla, now we got something ready for prime time. But to this day, the chocolate manufacturers are always figuring out what's the right combination of ingredients to get you. Number 3, cheese. Cheese actually has opiates in it.
I'm not surprised you brought up that cheese track.
Well, that's because we want to know why the heck is this addictive? And there are opiate chemicals in the casein protein in milk, which are concentrated in cheese, that attach to the same receptors of the brain that heroin attaches to. And number 4 is meat. You can give an opiate blocking drug to Hank, and suddenly this meat addicted guy likes meat less.
Wow.
And by the way, the opiate blocking drug is not a treatment. It's a research tool that we use to separate what are addictive, what are brain active foods and which are not. So sugar, chocolate, cheese, meat, and I might say also just anything with a lot of fat and a lot of salt. Potato chips, onion rings, cheeses in that category too. We tell you to hooked on those. All of them, all these things I just mentioned, go to the brain, trigger the release of dopamine in the brain, and you can see the brain scans light right up, which is not going to do so much with brown rice and a potato and healthy foods. You know, those foods are good, but they are going to drive your brain into excessive brain activity.
What about people who don't necessarily have an addictive personality? Do they still have the same risk for developing that sugar addiction, that addiction to cheese?
Yes, I think so. Now, there's a couple things. We used to say it was all personality, and the whole idea was your parents' fault. Or you had a bad upbringing, you were traumatized, whatever, and so now this is your comfort food. I think half of that is true. I think the truth is this is a comforting food. Mm-hmm. But you can have had the most wonderful partridge family upbringing, and you can still be addicted to anything. And that's partly for the reason I was mentioning earlier, is the manufacturers are trying to figure out how to make foods attractive. In the same way as, I don't care who you are, I don't care what your upbringing was like, can you get hooked on tobacco if you light up? Yes, of course. Of course you will. And that's true for most people. But let me take this one step further. We were doing a research study a number of years ago, and I was struck by how many people would crave cheese and so forth. Everybody happened to have diabetes in the study. I did blood tests, and I found a single gene that caused these people to have too little dopamine activity in their brain. They were born with that gene. And it turned out that they had an exaggerated response to junk food because it would give them the dopamine that they were missing. So if you don't have that gene and you're getting dopamine activity normally, you are less set up for addiction. If you have this gene that gives you too few dopamine receptors in the brain, which is what it's doing, then you want anything to stimulate those dopamine receptors. Right. It can be alcohol, it can be drugs, it could be compulsive gambling. And it can be junk food.
Yeah, it is for so many. So, new year, new you, we're trying to better ourselves. What's the best way to start to break that addictive pattern? I know that some people are advocates of going cold turkey, other people taper off. What do you find is the best method there?
I think everybody finds their own way. I have to say, personally, I think that getting to zero is what you want to do, as opposed to moderation. In moderation.
Right.
If you are having an unhealthy food extremely rarely and you're paying no price for it and it's not hurting your life at all, okay. But on the other hand, if you've got weight you're trying to lose, if your diabetes is getting out of control, let's take this seriously. And in the same way as it's easier to quit smoking completely than to have a cigarette on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah.
Okay? It's just easier. It is so much easier to go to a completely vegan diet and leave that meat aside, leave that cheese aside, than to have it dangling in front of you every now and then. Why? you're thinking about it less and less and less and less and less. Light up once, and it all comes back. And it's the same with food. So some people will think, all right, vegan diet's got to be tough. Not really very tough. And the beauty of it is it allows you to just get some distance from the things that hurt you.
And, you know, the cool part, though, I think that when I broke through to the other side was just the confidence that I gained from really accomplishing something that was tremendously difficult. So I think then that there's a great positive mental upside to breaking this addiction as well.
The payoff is huge. We did a study a few years ago with Geico, the car insurance company, and the study was focusing on weight loss and diabetes, but we gave questionnaires to people to rate their mood, depression, anxiety in particular, and also things like job absenteeism. Those things got better too. That wasn't the target of it, but it was either there's something magical about this food, or there's something magical about feeling the health return to your body.
Yeah.
You know, the weight loss is coming up, my blood sugar's going down. I've got power, I've got control that I didn't have before.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Again, another topic, man. We could just go for days on. I'm going to bring you back another time. We're going to dive specifically into cheese because I know that that's one that you've spent an inordinate amount of time studying. You've got that book, The Cheese Trap. So we're going to bring you back here in the near future. We're going to talk all about the queso and why it should be queso. But for now, we got to take a little short break here on the exam room. We're going to come back and we're going to debunk some vegan diet myths. Sound good?
You bet.
You're listening to the exam room, brought to you by the Physicians Committee. Welcome back to continuing now with New Year.
Okay, there we go. All right. Pretty interesting stuff, huh? I know when I watched that video, I learned a few things myself. One question, I tried to think of some questions that might come up, and the main one that I thought of was, what is dopamine? Does anybody know what dopamine is? No? Okay, perfect. It's right up here. Dopamine is actually the hormone that your body makes, and it plays a really huge role in when you feel pleasure. So when you're eating those foods that make you feel really nice, that's the dopamine right there that your body is making because of that. So, and a little tip there too, if you're not ready to go vegan all at once or you just want to try it out, you want to find some recipes that that you and your family think are really tasty, then you can try a Meatless Monday. You can try one day a week, and then as you find those recipes that you really love, you can just start adding them more and more throughout the week, and voila, there you go. All right. Also, when we're doing this, we don't have to do it all by ourselves. God has our back. It says in Isaiah 41:10, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." So, even when we decide to do something that seems really difficult, God has us. He's got his right hand on us, pulls up. That's one verse that I really like to think about when I'm tempted to do stuff that I don't want to do, you know. Okay. So, excuse me. So tonight we're going to be making our vegan zucchini crostata. And I found this recipe, well, not this recipe, but I found the original crostata recipe on Pinterest, and I was like, it looks so pretty, I must make a vegan version for myself. So tonight I'm going to share with you what I came up with. And all right, so here's the recipe here if you want to take a snapshot of the ingredients and the amounts. It'll be right up here for you to follow along as I'm making it here. All right. So, oh, and also, if you have any questions during the class, feel free to write them down on the blank papers in front of you. And you also have some drawing tickets there in front of you. And when we're done with the class, we're actually going to raffle off the sample dish that I'm creating right here. And You could be the lucky winner. So, all right. So let me get my gloves on here. I'm also, did everyone get a picture that wanted to get a picture of this right now? Okay. Because what we're actually, okay, great. So what we're actually going to do, because I know that those of you online can be watching my hands here. So those of you who can't see what's going on there in the back or far away, this is actually, actually, did I forget to introduce myself? I'm Janessa Botticelli, and I am a massage therapist, but I also write a blog called Uh-Oh, It's Vegan. And this zucchini crostata is actually one of the recipes that's on here. So if you lose your paper or whatnot, you can remember, uh-oh, it's vegan. And you can find it right on there. And we have the pictures of each step that we're going to be going through tonight. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to make an egg substitute for what we're going to need tonight. And it's going to be a flax egg. All right. So what a flax egg consists of is just ground flax seed. All right. And then you put, so it's 1 tablespoon of flax seed, or ground flax seed, to 2 tablespoons of water. And I actually realized I don't have a little spoon here. A little spoon to mix it all up. But so what you're going to do is you're going to take your flaxseed there, just pour the water in. Okay. And then when you have a spoon, you just mix it all up there. And you leave it there for 15 seconds. And what will happen is the flax will, whoop, be careful. I'm sorry, 15 minutes. Yeah. You're going to leave it in there for 15 minutes. And what will happen is the ground flax will soak up the water. And it'll become more like a egg-like consistency there. And flax actually has a lot of nutritional value in itself. It's a non-meat source or non-fish source of omega-3s, actually. So if that's something you were concerned about trying to get those, then it's right in here. Or, yeah, omega-3s. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're just going to let that sit here off to the side. Maybe I'll turn the spoon around so it doesn't fall out. There we go. Okay, and then next we're going to come over here to our skillet. And we are going to whip up some onions and garlic and some spinach as well. That's very hot, actually. All right. And before we do that, I remembered I actually saved 1 garlic to do tonight because I wanted to show you a cool little tool. Oh, thank you. Hot pads. Save my hands. All right. So I actually have this cool little tool right here. And what it does is it helps me to peel my garlic. And my sister actually gave this to me. It's, if you want to find the exact same one, it's by OXO. So you just put your garlic in there, just like so. And then you just put a little pressure on it and roll it back and forth until you hear that paper starting to come off. And then you take it out and voila, no more paper on there. That saved me so much time because I use garlic all the time. So, and I like a lot of garlic. Personally, it's like the recipe will call for 2 garlics, and I'll put in like 5 maybe. You're like, just a little more. I'll take my giant knife and cut the end off here. Yeah, I don't get sick very often either. um, yeah, garlic actually has antibacterial properties to it, so it can help you to stay healthy. You feel a cold coming on? I like to make garlic noodles. Be like, it's time. Okay, then I have this cool little garlic press here. What this does is it helps you to mince the garlic so you don't have to be chopping it all up. So you can just take your garlic, you put it in the press, and let me actually open up the container I have all the other garlic in. And then you just press it right on out. I like to get everything I can, so we'll scrape the sides and do it one more time. There we go. And then this little tool here helps you to scrape it right off into the bowl as well, so you get everything. Okay. So we'll just, actually, I have a little bag here that I can set that down in. Okay. So now we've got our skillet here, and we're going to saute our onions and garlic. I'm going to take a little bit of oil here. I would say I'm probably using about a tablespoon of olive oil if you really want to measure it, but I rarely measure it. So you can just pour a little bit in there. That's about right. You don't have to go way overboard on it. Yes, you could use grapeseed oil. I just happen to use olive oil a lot myself. But yeah, you could use grapeseed oil, you could use coconut oil, any of the avocado oil is what I meant to say. Yeah, there's a lot of options. Okay, actually we'll start with the onions. So the reason why I like to start with the onions is because they act as sort of a barrier, because the garlic sometimes will stick to the pan more than the onions will. So I like to stick the garlic right on top of them. There we go. So then you'll just move them around, make sure the oil spreads there so it's all around the pan. That makes sure that it won't stick to the bottom. And I probably have the heat on about medium-low, I would say. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to turn it down just a tiny bit here. This is the first time I've ever used this skillet, so it's a learning experience for me too. And then while that is sauteing there, I'm going to come back and stir it every once in a while. But what I want to do is I want to take this spinach and I want to chop it up a little bit here before I add it to the pan. And what we have is about two cups of spinach. It seems like a lot more, but when you squish it down with your hand, I would say it's kind of like if you just grab 2 handfuls, that's about the right amount. Because it's hard to measure it in a measuring cup. So, plus I like spinach anyway, but so next, what I'm going to do here, I'll take it and just chop it up. And it doesn't have to be small, I just like to make it smaller. Yeah, you can use kale as well as spinach. Sometimes I use both of them together, actually. So, all right, another handful in here. And the thing about spinach, it seems like a whole lot of spinach, but it will cook down in there, trust me. All right. I'll just set that in there as well. And I also did just realize that I went out of order a little bit. But you know what? That's okay. You don't have to do things exactly in order all the time. I will, once this is all cooked down and the onions are more translucent or see-through-ish, you can't really see through them, but they're more clear. That's when you're going to want to add the your seasonings. So tonight we've got parsley, oregano, and Italian seasoning that we're going to add here. Okay. So you can kind of see these onions, they're more clear, they're more done here. I know it's kind of, they can see it up there, you can't see it as well there, but if you go on the blog, you can see on there as well. There's a picture for you. All right, so it looks like my onions are about ready, so I'm just gonna toss in these seasonings. And then we just mix them all in there. So you can see that there's a lot of water starting to come out of the spinach there. We're actually gonna try to boil some of that off so that the crostata doesn't get soggy when you bake it in the oven there. So while this is sizzling in here for a bit, we will go over. We'll keep an eye on it, obviously. When you multitask, be careful, you know. But what we're going to do is we're going to go on over and we're going to start making the tofu regatta. My glass is fogged up. There we are. Okay. So I have this nice little food processor. You might have a bigger one. I wanted a bigger one, but now I find I really like this small one. So tonight the tofu regatta. I like to use firm tofu for this because it gives it regatta. You know, is a more smooth cheese, but you can make the tofu the same consistency as that, or very similar. Just depending on your preference. If you want it more smooth, you just do it in the food processor longer. If you want it to be more lumpy, do it less. Yes. Oh, I thought you had a question there. All right. So what you will want to do is you don't have to press your tofu but you could if you want to. What I like to do typically is just take it out of the container, I'll rinse it off, and then since I'm going to be using it right away, I'll just squeeze out some of the water in the sink. This one I did press for today since I don't have a sink to squeeze the water out into. But yeah. Yes. When I press it, what I do is I take 2 plates actually, because I don't have a presser. So I take 2 plates and I'll stick it on top of one and put another plate on top of it, and I fill up a heavy jug, or actually it's usually the kettle, and I stick that on top of the plate. So you have to do a little balancing there, but there's a little trick on how you can make your own presser at home. All right. Yeah, and you put it in the, yeah, you could put it in a strainer, and then the water will come out in there. That's a good idea too. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so it looks like this is getting nice and done. And just to make sure it doesn't get overdone here, I'll set the tofu down. I'm going to get this bowl and stick it in there. Because at this point, the spinach part that we have is all ready. I just have to figure out, this is pretty heavy to do one-handed, so we'll have to scoop it out in here. I'll turn this off. Okay. Oh, thank you so much, Bill. Okay, I think that's all we're going to get out of there. Thank you so much. All right. Yay! Yes, I did turn it off. Thank you. All right. So, next, what you're going to want to do with your pressed or not pressed tofu, you just stick it right here in the food processor. I like to break it up into smaller sections so that I think it blends better if I do that. And you can find firm tofu even at Walmart. It's pretty easy to find these days. So I think you can even find the ground flax at Walmart as well. Anything fresh, as fresh as you can do it, is the best. So, so if you have, so if you do have whole flaxseed and you decide to grind it, that would be ideal. Yes, exactly. Just like using frozen vegetables isn't quite as good as using fresh vegetables. You know, same concept. Yes, principle. Yes. Okay. So we have our tofu in here. And next what we want to do, let me take my gloves off so you can keep seeing the directions, is we're going to make our regatta here. And that entails putting in our salt, apple cider vinegar, and olive oil. So, these gloves are a little messy, so I'm going to change into new ones because we just touched the tofu. That's all wet. Okay. They're not slipping on as easily this time. There we go. Okay. So the oil that you put in here, and again, I just prefer olive oil. I haven't tried another oil, but you could try another oil if you like to. We're going to put 2 tablespoons of olive oil in here, and this will kind of help the tofu cheese to be kind of more smooth. And then the apple cider vinegar. You use olive oil for salads, we'll say? Oh, the grapeseed oil for salads. Yeah. I actually don't have a lot of experience using grapeseed oil, so. But we usually use balsamic. Well, yeah, we usually make a balsamic base for ours. Okay, so we have 2 tablespoons of the apple cider vinegar. which you could also use for salad dressing. We'll have to do another class on that. Okay, I'm just going to set this off to the side here. I don't think we need that again. And then our salt is the last thing that we need, is 1/2 a teaspoon of salt. Okay. So you have everything in there. This might get a little noisy. I might block this. Okay. Oh, it's actually not that bad in this big room. At home it seems so loud. So in a different food processor, you might be able to just turn a switch and have it keep going. With my little one, you're supposed to pulse it until it gets to where you want it to be. Okay, we're good. All right. Gotta push my glasses up again. All right, so then it's just as simple as adding it to your greens here that you just cooked up with your onions. I'll scrape this off in a second, but wearing plastic gloves is slippery. Alright, so you just put that right in there. I like to get as much out as I can. There we go. That's good enough for tonight. And then just get the blades here. All right. And then you just mix this together. And actually, you know, I was thinking this would be very good for a vegan lasagna filling as well, I think. Or stuffed shells. All right, so that's what it looks like, all mixed together. Okay. Ta-da. Okay. So, what do we do next? Next, we got to get the base ready, but let me clear some things away here first so we have some room. We're going to need our spatula maybe. Oh, and I almost forgot. We've got our flax egg hanging out over here in the corner. Oh, yeah, I'm all done with that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, and you can see the flax egg has been sitting there for a while. It's a lot thicker than it was when you started. Yeah, you can see. Okay. So this type of egg substitute is really good as a binder. So when you're using the eggs as you're trying to use something as a binder, this is what you're going to want to use. If you're trying to make something fluffy, it's not going to make it fluffy. There are egg substitutes out there that actually have baking soda in there and things like that, and those will help to be the substitute there. Maybe we'll use those in another class. But for tonight, we've got this one. Or if you're making sweet things, you can use, you could use like applesauce and substitute. Again, it won't make it fluffy, but it just kind of adds the extra liquid that you're missing. Okay, and we'll just set this over to the side here again. Okay. And then we'll really get everything mixed together. I've got this giant bowl, so I don't need to be careful about how fast I'm going. All right. There. So you can see it doesn't really change it all that much. But you know, it's a nice little extra health benefit in there too, you know. All right. Take these. So I'm just making room right now for the crust that we're going to be using. And I've been experimenting with making my own gluten-free crust, but I haven't gotten that down yet. It needs some work. So tonight we're going to be using one that I found at the store, and I was actually able to find it at Ingles and also Fresh Food Market, or just the Fresh Market has it as well. Also, there's a different kind than what we're using tonight, and I found that, but didn't purchase it, but I found it at the Natural Foods Market in Johnson City. So if you're looking for one that you don't need to bake, particularly around the holiday seasons, this is what you could get right here. Okay, it's by, actually I don't, Bake at Home, I guess. You can see again. And you can come up and look at the top afterwards as well, so you all can see at home as well. There we go. Okay. I actually will not be needing my cutting board for this, so I'll put the spatula in there, take all my other things and put them aside. And what we're going to do is we're going to lay down some parchment paper here instead. Okay. So as you can see, these crusts actually come in a pan themselves. But what you're going to do, because they kind of, unfortunately, I can't just flip it and have them come out. So don't worry about if it tears or anything. When you take them out, it rolls out very nicely. We tested that out several times today because we made other sample crustadas here for you to try. So you're just going to get as much of the crust as you can off here. Okay, here we go. And what we're going to do once we have it out here is we'll roll it into a ball and then try to get it to a 12-inch circle. Oh yes, thank you. I almost forgot to put the gluten-free flour on the paper here too, which I'll have to change my gloves for again because I don't want it to get into the flour. All right. So a trick that I just learned pretty much this month is that when you're rolling out a crust, I don't know, it might be a trick that a lot of people know and I just found out this week, I don't know. But you can take, when you're rolling out the dough, you take the dough and you put it on your floured surface here. And then, like so. And then you take another piece of parchment and you put it on top. And it makes it so that your rolling pin doesn't stick to the dough as easily without having to flour it or oil your rolling pin there. So that looks about right. Just a nice little dusting. And then we'll take our dough, roll it up into a ball. And then I'm actually going to flatten it a little bit to get me started in a circle form. Looks like we still have some cracks in there. Let me roll it some more. Ah! It's weird using gloves when I'm cooking. I don't do this at home. Okay, I think we're good now. All right. So you can see it goes back into its dough really nicely. And then you just lay it down there on top. And then we'll just get some more parchment paper here. There we go. Stick it right there on top. And here we go. I have this nice little rolling pin that I like to use. And then if you start from the middle and roll out, then you get that nice round shape. Just keep going around in a circle, start from the middle and go out to the center. That way none of the edges get too thin on you. So again, we're going to go for about 12 inches across if we can get it to there. With these pie crusts, I found that it is a little bit smaller than if you were making your own pie crust, because I don't know why, you just have a little bit more dough. But it is possible if you're really good at it like my mom. I got it smaller today, and she was able to get them the full 12 inches across. We measured them and everything. Yeah. Yeah, you can use different flours. The reason why I'm using the gluten-free tonight is just simply, I know that there's a lot of people who are allergic to gluten that come. I don't know who it's getting raffled off to. But yeah, you can definitely use whole wheat flour or other all-purpose flour as well. All right. I think we're getting pretty close to it. I don't want to make it too thin. Okay, we'll set this over here. And then also, you don't need to wash your rolling pin because you didn't get it dirty. Okay, and then we just take this and peel it off like so. Voila. And if you want to smooth the edges, you can definitely do that. Just take your hand here and you can press it in a little bit if you want it to be a little bit more perfectly round. I think we did pretty good tonight though. It's not too bad. All right. So the next thing that you're going to want to do is just simply spoon the filling right on top. And you're going to want to leave an inch all around the crust. So about to there, all around, and you'll see. And you can put as much filling in or as little in as you like. Everybody's different. All right, there we go. And then we're gonna do the pretty part. We get to decorate with the zucchini slices. And we got small zucchinis here. And what did you say, Mom? It was about 6 slices per inch or something like that you could get out of it. So we have about 2.5 here. We'll see how many we get around. So you just lay them out. I like to start in the center, but you can start on the edge if you like. And you're just going to take them and start overlapping them around. All right. And actually, I've been experimenting with using mushrooms in this too, and it also looks really nice when you do that. One day we had a lot of leftovers in the refrigerator. We had a little, so I did an experiment with the leftovers. I made a new thing. We had a little bit of no cheese sauce left over, and I had a little bit of filling left over from making the crostadas. And so I was like, I wonder if these two things would taste good. So I combined them, and then I put mushrooms on top and made a different kind of crostata. It was really good also. I don't have the recipe written up for that one, but that's what you call a whatever you have in the fridge recipe. Yes, the leftover recipe. Yeah, they do turn out good sometimes. The best things can come from necessity. All right, so I went a little lopsided there, so we're gonna have to do a crescent shape around there. That's okay. You don't have to be perfect. All right, and there we have it. And another neat trick that I learned, what we're going to do is we're going to actually fold that 1 inch of crust that we left on the side up and around the filling and the zucchini that we have. So you can just take your parchment paper here, and instead of like getting your hands all gooey and whatever, you can just flip it up like that. And then just keep going all the way around to make your nice circle. And there you have it. There's your crostata. Yeah. And so once you have it at this point, all you're going to do is you had the oven preheated there at 350, and you'll pop it in there for about 50 minutes or until your crust is nice and brown, the way you like it. All right. Let's see what my next slide reminds me to do here. Oh, yes. So we actually had some stores that we went to that were really awesome and decided to hand out some flyers to let you guys know that this was going on. And so we wanted to say a special thank you to Savvy Shopper, Black Sheep, and also Natural Foods Market there. And you can see where to go shop, what town and city around here that they're at. And also these on the right are some other, let me make it big here. I forgot to do that. The other stores on the right are other stores that we shopped at for this recipe. The Asia Food Market, we got the tofu, or what did we get there? Well, we got we got something there. We got coconut milk and things like that there for some other recipes that we did. There's actually going to be the macaroni and no cheese bake here tonight for you to try, and that's what we got the coconut milk to have here. Then there's McCoy's. We like to shop at a lot of the discount stores, and that's one of them. And they have some nice produce there that changes out every week. And then there's Ingles. Spice World is a really awesome store if you're looking for some new seasonings to try, or that's one of the stores that I go to when I'm like, I want to try something new that I have no idea what it is. I'll go there. I found yam flour there, which yam, not sweet potato yam, but it's different. There's lots of types of yam if you didn't know that. But and then Fresh Foods. Oh, I guess I have it on there twice by accident. That's okay. And then Grocery Outlet, another great one. So feel free to check those stores out. You'll have some great finds there. All right, so we're going to answer some questions here while our awesome helpers get our food ready for us. Yes, Rebecca. Can you use lemon juice instead of vinegar? I haven't tried that, but when I make a sour cream out of tofu, I'll use both. So I'm not sure. You could try that, definitely. Mm-hmm. Yes? Yes, you can use a regular cooking sheet. Yeah. I just watch the crust more. I'm not sure, because I haven't tried it on a baking sheet myself. Just make sure it doesn't burn on the bottom. That's the only thing I would look at. Yes, Dale. You can, I definitely encourage experimenting, because that's what I do. But how thick should you slice it? Well, we measured it today, and when you're slicing your zucchini, if you measure an inch, you should get 6 slices out of that inch there. So what is that, a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch maybe per slice, I think? Yeah, is it a 1/6 maybe? I don't know. Yeah, if you make them too thin, just overlap them with another slice. It's not really a big deal for you. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to check I'm going to check online here and see if we have any questions from YouTube or Facebook. Unless we have anybody watching them tonight. I forgot to ask. None from YouTube. Okay. So we'll check Facebook here. Oh, thank you. All right. Just want to make sure you guys know you're included, so. Okay. So it looks like we're almost ready for the food. And, oh yeah, the drawing. Right, if you haven't already, fill out those tickets in front of you, and we're going to do a little drawing. Yeah, right. All right, but so we'll take a few minutes to do that. Oh, be sure to fold them when you put them in there. That's good. All right. So, I'll mix them up here. Oh, we got an unfolded one. I'll fold this up. No cheating. Not looking. All right. Mix them all up in here. Okay. Do you think, Jenny, you think your little one would try it? Okay. Yeah? Awesome. Thanks for your help. Oh, thank you. Who did you get? Yeah, let's see who it says. Deborah, sorry. It took me a while to read it. Deborah Dixon. Woo! Congratulations. Yeah. Yep. All right. So thank you all for coming, both in person and online. And I hope you come back tomorrow for our third day. We're going to be making a sweet potato pie that makes its own crust. So another really awesome recipe. All right, so we're just going to say a closing prayer and a prayer for our food. Okay. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for bringing us together tonight. Thank you for letting us have fun together, get some questions answered, and learn something new. Please bless the food, help it to nourish our bodies, and be productive and happy through the week as well. In Jesus' name, amen. See you tomorrow.